Hey, Billy.
Hey, Chris.
This is a kind of weird day because we're recording on a Sunday and the podcast is going to be released on Wednesday, and in between these 2 days is election day, right? So
Yeah,
we're talking to you from the past about the future, and we may be getting this entirely wrong because it might be the first day of the apocalypse and we have no idea.
yeah. By the time you hear this, the future will be the past, or the
Exactly.
past will be the future. I forget.
It's the power of radio,
Yeah,
really, is what it comes
exactly.
down to it. So this and other things, because it's now time for some monkey business. See, Dan, you're not here at the moment. This is your cue to play the music. Right, just check. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay, cool. All right, so this is FC3's Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, and everything can be geeky if you love it enough. Starring Billy DeTore, Tanya Metris, and I am your host. My name is Chris. All right. So Dan's not here today because he had a thing going on, and he's missing out today. But it's also because today, the day we're recording, today is Dan's birthday,
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Dan!
Dan!
and I plan on going and visiting him later today so I can sing him happy birthday to his face in the vein of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, happy birthday, Mr. President.
Happy birthday, Mr. President, because that's got to work. It's a thing.
Yes.
So-
Can you dress like Debbie Gibson when you do it?
Oh, see, I might. There might be a jean jacket in the house, but I don't know if it'll fit me. I've gotten a little bit bigger since then.
Yes. So I think Dan's truly avoiding us today.
I don't think so. I think I
No.
definitely,
An emergency came up in regards to work stuff, so he's wrangling the boys, so we're gonna let him pass. So guess what? They left me in charge. Woo woo! We know what happens when they leave me in charge.
Oh, it's the same thing that happens when he's in charge. We go off the rails and everybody has fun. It's all good.
Yes.
I've seen some interesting comments actually popping up from podcasts that we've done lately, and it's proof that people are actually listening to this show, which is kind of cool. And for you, the listener, we appreciate you being with us all the time. I'm going to make the shameless plug right now. If you like what we're doing and you want to see us get better at it and work on it, just cross your fingers and keep dreaming, because I have no idea if we are or not. But anyway, no, there's a more practical way of doing it. We do have a Patreon, www.patreon.com/FC3 ROC. We got several levels there. Please, if you like what we're doing and want to support us and give us an opportunity to get better access to things, advertising, stuff like that, then feel free to sign up for a particular level. And if you don't see a level that works for you, reach out, let us know, and we'll work something out we can customize for pretty much everybody. So that's cool, and it's interesting to see, because like I said, we've been getting some comments, and I had a couple of people reach out to me through DMs and whatnot, and Twitter and whatnot, and it's kind of neat to have folks kind of like finding the conversation and amused by the things that we do. So, because I know I'm amused by the things that we do, that's for sure. So, and I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So.
Same here.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, dear.
Do you remember that James Irish needed you to do a plug today?
I was hoping you were going to bring that up, as a matter of fact.
Oh, actually, I can help with this plug. I listened to the podcast James Irish recommended.
Now,
Did you?
These guys actually did a plug for us. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
I believe so.
That's awesome, and it's appreciated. And Billy, tell us a little bit about our friends.
It's Dan Drago and James Hearn, I think the other gentleman's name is. They're both from the area. They have a podcast called Double Lives, and they review they talk about the greatest live albums of all time.
Oh, which is never a bad time.
It's right up my alley. James recommended it to me. I believe they both they know each other they've had bands and have lived in Philadelphia. I think one lives back in New York State somewhere, and the other's in Philadelphia. But there's 6 episodes so far, and they basically break down great live albums. Aretha Franklin, Ani DeFranco, a bunch of others, and they do a really, really good job, and I really enjoy their podcast. It's called Double Lives.
That's cool.
So Google it, and I want to make sure I got the name of the podcast.
Is it
right.
Double Life?
No, in fact,
No, okay.
I think I listened to every episode, and Now I'm not positive of the name of the podcast
Well,
because
we'll take a
that's
moment to look it up.
let me go to my podcast app because I am subscribed to it, and I can tell you. And like I said, I may have gotten Mr. Hearn's first name wrong too, which would make me feel like a dope. But I do enjoy the podcast, and it is called Double Lives. I was correct. Lives, Double Lives.
All right. And
And
these
it's
guys
a
gave us
podcast about live albums.
and these guys threw some love our way. So absolutely, we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what we got here.
I listened to it, and I'm glad James recommended it to me. Aretha Franklin live at the Fillmore West was her most recent episode.
So I did find the right one.
Okay.
A Tragically Hip, Portishead, Bill Withers, and Ani DeFranco. 2 episodes for Ani DeFranco because hers was a double album, and it's very good. So,
speaking of bands that aren't normally talked about, I'm sad for. It's kind of a mixed emotions, right? Recently, over the past, I'd say since summertime to now, because of pandemic, and you're sitting around, you're not doing much, you're getting a chance. But so YouTube, I've been YouTube surfing, and I found a couple of bands in recent months that have been around for years, but I'm only just discovering for the first time. I'd never heard of them, never heard their music because they're not big on radio, right? Or at least not on the stations that I listen to. You know, and earlier this summer I talked about Haim, you know, the 3 sisters that play some really freaking great rock music.
Yeah.
And then just recently I've been on a binge of a jazzy swing kind of pop quartet called Lake Street Dive.
I love them.
Oh my God. And their lead singer, Rachel
Price is amazing.
What a powerhouse of a voice and presence on stage. And their bass player, Bridget, she is just phenomenal. She's usually jamming out on an upright bass and making that instrument do things that I'd never seen a upright bass do before. And it's just amazing.
They're a great band. Susan and I have traveled. We went to Boston to see them last year when we were allowed to travel.
Oh, nice.
And saw them. That's their hometown, Boston. They played the Wang Theater, which is a really, really nice theater in that area. And we've seen them in Cooperstown. We've seen them here in Rochester a bunch of times. And they are a great band.
I would love to see them live.
To pick up, listen to their like major label debut. I think they had one album before, but an album called Bad Self Portraits is well, actually they're all great, but Bad Self Portraits is my favorite of their albums.
Okay,
so
it's great because YouTube has a couple of their full concerts.
Yeah,
you know, and so I'll put it on and then putter around the office and, you know, play games or whatever and listen to them, and just I'm staggered by this band. And it's you know, we talk about this often because Rochester is such a music hub, right? There's so many. It's just a great local scene with all the local bands and then bands that come through the area to entertain us, and I miss that. And, you know, and it's just, it wound me up to a more of a larger philosophical kind of sitting around and thinking of, I wonder how, when this is all done, this whole pandemic thing is over with, if people are really going to just quote unquote go back to normal, or if they're going to take this opportunity to do more. Right? Like me, I have led a sheltered life in the overall. You know, I hear all these friends talking about all these concerts they've been to. You know, we'll hear, you know, Mike DiGiorgio wax poetic about all the times he's seen Van Halen and all these other great bands that he's seen. And people are like, oh yeah, I go concerts here, I go concert here, I go concert here, or I go traveling here, I go see this sightseeing, I go do this place. You know, I've gone on adventures and stuff. And I've had a couple, you know, I'm not dissatisfied with the ones I've been on. But I also look back at all the times I looked at the bottom line and I'm like, well, you know, I'll catch them the next time. Or, you know, I could either do this or this, but, you know, I'm just gonna stay home this time, or I'll catch it the next time. And I can't count how many times I have personally said to myself, I am going to pass this opportunity up and I'll catch it later, or I'll catch a recording of it or something like that. And I've done myself a disservice, you know, so it's when this is all said and done and we feel safe again and the world kind of returns back to, you can kind of start doing things and getting together in large groups and going places again. You know, certain things have to change in my opinion, at least for our personalities, right? You know, and I'm going to go to more concerts. I'm going to go to places. I'm going to go visit people because they can all be taken away again. And what have you missed out, you know?
See, because music is one of my passions, I have traveled. Like I just mentioned, I've traveled a few times to see Lake Street Dive, along with the
Hmm.
times I've been to town. And I bet, though, you have your own passions that you've gone out of the way for. No,
Hmm.
music isn't you aren't as passionate about music as I am. You
Right.
have a love of it
Hmm.
because I think everybody does, but I bet you are. There are things you do where I thought, wow, that's really cool. Chris did that, and
Hmm.
I didn't. No, it would have been something that I would have passed up on. So,
Hmm.
but music really is something I love going to see and hope to be able to do it again. Concerts and the like.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy. That's because, it was funny. Even just now, as you were saying, you've got these things you're passionate about that you've
Mhm.
gone and done. No, in the overall, when it comes
Oh.
right down to it, I have experienced a lot. I've experienced a lot of what I can experience from the comfort of my own home or within a couple of blocks of me. All these people have said, "Oh, you need to go to this convention. You need to go to this convention. Oh, you need to come up here and see this. You need to," and I haven't. And so I'm hitting myself at the moment, but I'm also using it as encouragement. Like I said a moment ago,
Mhm.
when this is done, and it will be, there'll come
Mhm.
a day where
Mhm.
normalcy will be restored for the most part. I'm going to go do the thing.
Mhm.
There's a meme floating around with Danny DeVito holding a weird painting, and I don't know if it's a quote from him or a character he played or anything like that. The quote is, "I don't know how many years left I have left on this
Mhm.
world, so I'm going to get real weird with it." You know, if anything, if anything has
Yeah.
taught me during this, if I've learned anything in this
Mhm.
past, pandemic year, as it were, um, go do the thing. And I
Yeah.
want to share that with you, our listeners, because go do the thing. If there's something you've been wanting to do or a place you've wanted to see, or people you've wanted to go meet face to face. I have friends that I've met through the internet and internet gaming and things like that
Mhm.
that I have known for 25, almost 30 years, and I've never once been in their physical presence.
Huh.
Not once. Like I have friends on the West Coast. My friend Sonny in Seattle, and Sonny in Seattle. There's a movie there,
Oh.
and I have my friend Cindy down in Torrance, and Joel in Oregon, and Pat and our friend Patty in Oregon as well. I mean, these are people I've known forever through various
Mhm.
games and chat boards and things like that. We see pictures of each other. We share pictures of our kids and our cats and our vacations and whatnot. But I have never once been physically in their presence. I'm going to fix
Huh.
that.
Well.
I am going to fix. I'm going to go see the things. I'm going to go do the things. I want to go see the. I want to hear the music because it's being played right in front of me. So that's my call to
Mhm.
action. Is that I don't want to be the only person who's coming to this revelation, right? I want you, Billy, to keep doing the things you do and going to
Yeah.
see the things you want to see. And Tanya, I want the same for you. And Dan, I want the same for him. I want him to be able to experience all the things he's missed out on or has not had a chance to do. And admittedly, Dan's a little more adventurous than I am. So he has gone and done some things, but I want him to see more. I want him to do more.
Mhm.
Especially the fact that he's fighting cancer right now. I want him to beat the shit out of that so he can go do more stuff. And you listeners, all you guys out there, go and when this is all done, go and do the thing. Go and meet the people. Go and see the show.
Well,
Go and.
one thing that's really helped me in the
Mm-hmm.
last 10 or so years is
Mm-hmm.
Susan, because in the past, no, because I don't drive. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to concerts with friends, but mostly shows here in Rochester. No, with my brother, with various friends who had similar music tastes. But with Susan around, now we get to travel and go places because she'll drive. One of the first places we ever went, my very first favorite musician was Glenn Campbell. When I was a little kid, I loved Glenn Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And God, what was about 8 or 9 years ago? I had just met Susan. I just started dating and going places, and Glenn Campbell was playing a casino. God, not Salamanca. That's where it was.
Okay.
And she goes, "Get tickets. We're going." And I didn't know it was like a 2.5 hour drive, but we went, and I wouldn't have been able to go see him. And
Mm-hmm.
he died a few years ago from Alzheimer's. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really glad that after 50 years, I got to go see Glenn Campbell. And I wouldn't have been able to without Susan. I wouldn't have gone to Toronto Fan Expo or the Lake Street Dive concert in Boston and a million other places. Now, I wouldn't have seen Springsteen on Broadway in New York City without her. So there's a million things that she has helped me do. So it's really helped having someone that likes the same things I do, or willing to put up with the things I like so that I can enjoy myself.
Right.
Went to go meet Kevin Smith in New Jersey when he had the film /podcast festival. So it's I'm just really glad I've done the things I do and now have someone to do them with also.
And that's the key. That's the key. So my message during this opening segment of our first podcast of November in the tail end of this terrible year of 2020 is when the world is safer again, go do the thing. If you're thinking about, I want to go see the Grand Canyon, go see it. Go look at it.
And you know what else I've noticed?
What's that?
Tanya just won't shut up.
I'm telling you. Well, there are days where she owns the opening segment.
Yeah.
And that's cool because we each have our something we can contribute. And today I'm going to be waxing philosophical. Yeah. And
today I'm Dan.
Today you're Dan, so you can just sit quietly and just hope that Chris shuts up somewhere along the line.
Yeah, well, I'm Facebooking. So.
Oh, are you now?
Yes.
How's everybody today? Are you chatting with anybody important?
No, I'm just scrolling through Facebook. I just found a child meme from The Mandalorian. My screen's not refreshing. Hold on. It says, when the show you've binge watched for 3 days suddenly runs out of episodes, and the little child's like, "Hey!" You can see the little face that's sad. I'm like, "Oh yeah." So,
okay. What's your style of watching Mandalorian? I'm waiting until all the episodes are dropped.
We've already seen the first episode.
Okay.
Yeah, it caught me so hard because as Bill Horse-Cotter said, there's no
spoilers.
No sophomore jinx here. But the whole episode was solid. It was well done. And then there was a uber twist, and it's like, oh shit, okay. And so
that happened.
Yeah, so totally in right now.
Mark Hamill announced he's going to FC3?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Actually, the thing.
So on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
And then we'll come back.
Yes.
And we'll start reminiscing about those.
The ghosts of Halloween past?
Yes.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, all points in between. Everybody's welcome. We are going to start this segment off by saying a quick goodbye to a legend.
I don't know if it's going to be a quick goodbye.
Well, that's fine. That works for us as well.
Do we really do anything quick?
No.
Yes, there's an answer. The answer to that question is yes. It's going off the rails. We do that very fast.
Okay, I'll give you that. But then we stay off the rails for a while.
Yes, and these rails are going to be worth it though, because
my God,
90 years and 2 months ago was the birth of the legend himself, Sir Sean Connery, who just passed away yesterday.
Yep.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Halloween. Yesterday morning.
He chose Halloween. I've had enough of this shit. I'm out of here.
He's like 2020 F you. I'm going out type thing. It's like at this point I hit 90 and therefore I don't want to know what the last 2 months of 2020 has in store for us. He wanted to get out before the apocalypse.
Yeah,
that happens in the next couple days.
That could be happening in a couple. Well, it's going to be yesterday. We're going to find out.
Right. So he wanted to be out before then, or
right.
I don't know, but his name is Thomas Sean Connery.
Okay.
He was nicknamed. His nickname was Big Tam. Exactly what that is, I'm not sure.
Probably Tam the Hat, Tam O'Shanter. Maybe he had a big head.
But you know what? He's shorter than you.
Well, many people are, dear.
Yeah, well, he's still 6'2", but
yeah, I mean, that's a big son of a buck. I mean, seriously, that he was an imposing presence. And now James Bond was not his first part, was it? Or I know it's his career-defining part, but he'd been an actor for quite some time before that. You were looking at
Yeah.
the IMDb page.
Yeah, hold on.
hmm And what was interesting to me is, I mean, yes, 2020 has sucked and everybody's kind of reacted to it. And whenever somebody really, big name or noteworthy passes away, we all react to it. It was interesting to me to see how many people were like shocked and surprised and saddened and just horrified at 2020 for taking somebody. The guy was 90.
Right.
Yeah, he
That was a
won.
hell. That was a hell of a run. That's a great score. And he died. Tanya mentioned he died in the Bahamas. He was down in the Bahamas. I mean, what a
Yes.
wonderful place to go. If you got, I mean, you're relaxed, you're under the sunshine, it's warm, it's cozy. That's, he went out in style on the high scoreboard winner. So
He
yeah.
had a lot of TV series and TV movies
hmm
prior to Dr. No, which was 1962, but he had The Longest Day was also 1962, where he played Private Flanagan. There was a TV movie, Anna Karenina.
Okay. Yeah.
He had Operation Snafu before that, where he was playing a peddler, so it was probably a lot of bit parts.
Yeah,
He
actually,
was
his Wikipedia goes back to 1954. He played Spike in No Road Back.
hmm
That's a movie. A movie I'd heard of, or Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which I believe is a Disney movie. Played Michael McBride.
yeah, that was 1959.
Yeah.
hmm
He was in Tarzan's Greatest Adventure, O'Banion, in 1959, and then
So it was Dr. No that made him a star, though.
mhm.
And that's it. I mean, that's the
Mhm.
legend is Bond. He will always be known as the Bond. And while I think Daniel Craig is
Yes.
an exemplary turn as
Mm.
007, everybody's always going to compare any person who plays Bond will always be compared first to Sean Connery. Period. That's
Right.
always going to
Yeah.
happen. And he had the suave down. And the one-liners were his trademark. And then he moved on to other great parts. And I don't think any of them were as impressive as the run at Bond. He did some great work out there. I mean, Ramirez and Highlander, it's a cult film, really, but it was such a great part for him. You can go to Finding Forrester, where he plays the old reclusive retired author, and trains the African American boy who wants to be a writer. I mean, and the relationship they formed to each other. I thought that was a fantastic movie.
His turn as Robin Hood in Robin and Marian
Yeah,
was
yeah.
very good.
And in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, when he was King Richard,
Oh, it does the cameo at the end.
He was uncredited.
Yeah. Well, he wanted it to be a surprise.
Yeah.
And come on, were you in the like opening week? Did you see that movie in the theater?
I have not a clue.
I remember seeing it the opening weekend. A whole bunch of us from my Fisher days, we all went together, and we never saw it coming. Never saw it coming. The entire auditorium, as soon as you hear that voice, you're like, wait, what? And then you see him, and he comes walking up as King Richard, and we're like, oh shit, that's awesome. Okay, that's just flat out awesome. Mind blown. It was just that cool. And I think that was one of the first of the really great movie cameos I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I liked him as the voice of Draco in Dragonheart when he's saying, "I'd shoot in self-defense." Yes. That he was ate the knight or whatever.
Yeah, when he voiced the dragon.
Yeah,
that was a fun movie.
It was just fun. Yeah.
Actually, maybe. Oh, I'm sorry, Tanya.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say maybe my favorite non-Bond Sean Connery movie is Time Bandits.
Okay.
Have you seen it, Chris?
I saw it a long time ago when it first came out, and the overwhelming, just silly and oddity of it. It was just
part Monty Python, part sci-fi, part. I really loved Time Bandits. Now I want to watch it again. I haven't.
Oh, he plays the king from the Iliad. Oh, okay. I see that.
Isn't that Robert Urich? Who's in that movie?
In Time Bandits, he plays
Palin.
King. King Agamemnon.
Oh, right. I had the wrong. I was mixing the movies together. Yes.
Yeah, King Agamemnon or whatever.
Agamemnon.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is Tyler's reading the Iliad for school. So, but yeah.
Agamemnon.
Yes.
And of course,
No.
Indiana Jones's dad.
Oh.
Which was a great role for him.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Do you know that he's only like 12 years older than Harrison Ford when he was playing his dad?
They were playing father and son.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. And of course, all those times he lost on Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live.
Legendary. Legendary.
I think it was Daryl Hammond doing the.
Yes. Yeah. Just sheer legendary. So yes, we say farewell to Sir Thomas Sean Connery.
Yes.
And we'll go watch all of his movies on a regular basis and remember him forever. People are going to be talking about him forever. I was chatting with our buddy Judah, on Facebook that same day, and he was just, he's like, Sean Connery was my spirit animal, and I'm like, see, that's a guy to idolize, man. That's the way to look at it. So, and even though he maligned League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and obviously the movie was not Oscar worthy, and he credits that movie as what really pushed him into retirement because he had such a bad time making that movie. I have a lot of fun watching League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I enjoy that movie. I know it's not, the greatest action movie ever, but as far as comic book movies go, it's definitely entertaining as hell. So
that's where you check your brain at the door and just sit back and enjoy.
Exactly, and watch the stories of legendary Ellen Bloody Quartermain. And Peter Wilson doing her Sean Connery impression and getting away with it. I thought that was fantastic. So there you have it.
And I've never seen it. Highlander, I always hear is a really good action movie.
It
should have stopped there.
Movie. Yeah, seriously, there should.
That's also what I hear. Is it they should have stopped at the first one.
They have the best lines. Nuns, no sense of humor.
Right.
That was a cartoon I read online yesterday. It was like a father and son duck, just for random reasons, sitting on a couch, and the son goes to dad. Wow, Highlander is a really good movie.
Yes, I saw
it. More?
Yeah, are there more? And he thought for a second. No. That's actually what made me want to ask you about that.
Yeah,
the first Highlander.
There's not a book club there. That's because that's a movie you want to unpack and kind of talk about a little bit, and kind of enjoy it.
Connor
MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, played by the irrepressible Christopher Lambert, who actually, and here's a little sidebar because we're off the rails already anyway. He never spoke English until he started doing the lines of that movie.
Huh.
He was a Frenchman, right? Or he still is a Frenchman, obviously. And he was getting big in the French cinema. He was doing a lot of independent work. He'd done his stage and screen. And then they got him for this part because he just looked so authentically ancient. He had that brow of that serious, stern brow that gave him this kind of like look to him. And he learned English to basically read his lines for that movie. And so I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
Because it says, although he was born in the United States, he's French.
Yep.
His dad was a French diplomat stationed in the U.S. at the United Nations at the time of his birth. He was his formative years were spent in Geneva, Switzerland, where his family moved when he was 2, before returning to Paris when he was 16. So interesting.
Yep. And he's gone on to have an interesting career. But anyway, our farewells to Sean Connery. We'll probably talk about that on Nerd World News on Monday, or we'll have talked about this on Nerd World News. The magic of radio. And
so mental note, Chris, write down, talk about Sean Connery on Nerd World News.
No, I don't have to remind myself of that. So, but we wanted to talk about then and now kind of a thing because we just had Halloween yesterday, and it was so amazing to think on New Year's Day of 2020 we were looking at all the cool things that were going to happen in 2020, and Halloween was on a Saturday. during a full moon, which was the first time since 1944. And today, this Sunday, November 1st, is the clocks
Went
fall
back.
back. So you could go ahead and party Halloween a lot longer because you're going to get an extra hour. And how that got stolen from us.
2020 said, nope.
Nope, never mind.
Nope.
Nope.
So, like, that's it. We're done. I'm officially done with 2020 in regards to this. I did take Riker out trick-or-treating yesterday. We left at 6. And I did map my run. So I'm like, well, I might as well see how far I go and how long we're out and this, that, and the other thing. And Riker did not ring any doorbells.
Wow.
All buckets were outside on porches or had tables or had somebody sitting with fires going on last night. And our neighborhood is huge. We have probably well over 200 houses plus in our development, our neighborhood. If Riker got candy and stuff from 30 houses, that was way too many. And you know, we didn't go all the way down one of the back roads of in the development, and I think that's where a lot of them were set up, but we only went so far down that road, and then like it was dark, it was whatever, you couldn't tell if people had stuff out or not, and he was already tired because we had already gone 8/10 of a mile. We were almost at the mile, and he's like, okay, we'll just go as far as Abby's house and then turn around. I'm like, well, does Abby have even her lights on? He goes, no. I go, then why are we going out to Abby's house? Because we could see it from where we were. I'm like, if they don't have a table out, they don't have a bucket out, and they don't look like they have lights on, why are we going there? He goes, okay, good point, let's turn around. So we turned around, we came back. But truly, like, he did pass up like 3 or 4 houses where he identified that they were just way too spooky for him. Because they were all decked out with the fog machines and the spider webs and people pacing on the porch in their like Michael Myers costumes. And Riker's like, nope, I'm good. I know we've got candy at home. I'm just keep on going.
It was interesting to me to see like the pictures of clever ways that people were getting candy out to people. Though. Like
candy
shoots.
Saw,
candy shoots mainly. I saw one guy who hooked a series of plastic bags together from a bonus room above his attached garage down to the driveway, and then he had this whole distribution station set up on the so it made it fun, right? You come up the driveway, you stand there at the station, they slide stuff down to you, you know, from the bonus room of the house, and I thought that was clever, you know, it was cute, and I saw different variations of a theme. One guy came up with a Rube Goldberg device, so they were wheeling the basket out on this almost like a zip line, you know, across the yard to the fence, and then you know, they take things out of the basket, and then they pull it back, and there was a lot of interesting ways around it, but it was just so.
One of the ones I saw on Facebook that I kind of liked, it wasn't funny or clever. I just thought it was kind of smart where they had a clothesline hooked up.
Sean did that.
And little bags clothespin to the line, and people go up and grab a bag of candy.
Yeah. Our friend Sean and his cousin Carrie did that in his front yard.
Okay.
Did the little bags. And there were a lot of places where Riker got stuff that were in a sandwich bag. That they had already doled stuff out into a sandwich bag, and then like the table said, please take one or whatever. So I think he came home with like 5 or 6 of those type bags. He had a couple bags of potato chips in there and everything. One house was giving out full-size candy bars because he got a Hershey bar with almonds. So I don't know which person in the house is getting that, because I know Riker doesn't like it and I don't like it. So it might be a fight between Daddy and Nene. But truly, you know what? I don't think our street, which is like the first one into the neighborhood, got any trick-or-treaters other than Riker.
I didn't see anybody out.
I looked up and down my street and didn't see anybody or really any lights on. So,
and I don't know what it is. If it just seemed that it was too dark down our street, because our street doesn't have the sidewalks. The main road coming in, the main one that you turn onto, that one has sidewalks. But if you turn down our street, we don't have any sidewalks, even though we were supposed to. Maybe that is another contributing factor, other than the fact that it is COVID. We ended up putting a TV tray outside with our bucket at the end of the ramp with our pumpkins around it. So, and I posted to our Facebook page for our neighborhood that candy was out on Oak Mills, but I don't think we got any trick-or-treaters last night. And normally we get a couple hundred.
Right.
So I had a nice Ziploc bag filled with Twix and Milky Ways sitting on my laptop this morning.
And just a little tip, before we started recording this morning, Susan and I went to Wegmans for our groceries, and Halloween candy is on sale. Not the biggest shock of the year, but don't forget that you can now get.
Is it 50% off?
Susan grabbed whatever it was she grabbed. So
did she get Kit Kat for you?
I'm not sure it's a big bag of various candy bars. Yeah. So I'm sure that there's Kit Kats or little Hershey bars or something in there I like.
Yeah. So
Twixes, I hope. Twixes are another favorite of mine.
It's just, it was just kind of depressing last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was home and in the house by like 7:15. And I went out with him at 6. My mom and I took a walk around the neighborhood. We did like 1.84 miles when all was said and done. Now, but it just, I think if we saw 30 kids, that was a lot. We weren't seeing anybody. So I don't know what else. I mean, I've seen the pictures on Facebook of people like going all out for Halloween and things like that, but even that, I don't think people went out
because right now there's a spike in the COVID virus happening again, and it's getting bad. So I'm actually hoping that there weren't too many parties, because it seemed like people got lax and went away for a while, and now that it's coming back again, I'm hoping people aren't treating it like it's not bad at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if there were a number of parties or whatnot going on around town. Although the local bars had to just be pissed. Going into this year, I'm sure they were looking forward to last night like crazy. They, like you said, it's a Saturday night. They got the extra hour, and you could have bands and parties, and it just couldn't happen. So.
Frustrating. It's very frustrating. And I wonder what would have. Never mind. I'm just wondering how different this year could have been if things were handled differently at the beginning and rather than. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, we can't armchair quarterback that.
No, you can't armchair quarterback that, and we're recording this on a day where we're blissfully ignorant of the fate of the universe at the moment. So.
Yeah, how about that election? Wow, who saw that coming?
I did not realize that Chuckles the Clown was a write-in. That's kind of cool. So,
well, on a side note, Knox Craft Cocktails and Comfort Food reopened on October 31st. Wonderful. After being closed for like forever.
Since March.
Yes, they've been closed since March, and they actually reopened last night. We were planning on going down, but by like 8:15, I'm like, I don't want to go back out.
I wish those guys really, really a whole lot of well, because they have been so generous to us over the years. And,
absolutely. And
I used our living room on several occasions, and have always enjoyed being there.
Well, and it was funny because they had like the event Knox reopening, and the picture for the reopening was the Athens versus Sparta versus Persia. It was the hummus trio, and I'm just like, oh, it looks so delicious with the hummus and the bread and the veggies and things like that. And I'm like, oh,
yay!
And I'm like, oh, is Vlad Dracula's still on the menu? Because it's the Hungarian stuffed peppers.
Mm-hmm.
That Sean's like, oh, I'm in for that. I'm like, I just want their French fries. So,
and I'd like to wish some luck to my past or former place of employment, whatever it is, or current, or Record Archive made the news over the weekend because one of their staff came down with the coronavirus, so they've shut down. They fumigated the whole place. Everyone's getting tested, but for now, it's closed back up until.
Now you've been kind of blogging for them. You've been working for them, but you've been doing that remotely from home, so you're fine. You're
yes. The funny thing is well, not funny, but sort of is that they've had 3 record store days instead of the one big one. They had 3 smaller ones, and one was last Saturday. And there was a couple things I wanted. So I stopped down there last Saturday, went in quick, like first thing in the morning, and grabbed what I wanted and left, said hi to a couple people. And then when the announcement came out Friday, they said people who had been in the store, actually starting Saturday, but from 2 to 6, and then whatever hours Monday or Tuesday this person worked. And so I'm glad I went early, got in and out.
Right.
But the first, I because I know the people, I know who wasn't there in that early morning shift. So I've sort of narrowed down who I think may have it. I don't want to check and be a pain. I'm sure they're dealing with, they don't need me going, hey, what's going on, everybody? So,
right.
So I just hope everybody there is okay and that they get to reopen soon. And
well, we wish you guys at Record Archive well.
They've really tried hard to do their best, and just like everybody has, I think. So,
yeah. Well, as of the 30th, the steam police was dispatched to disinfect the entire store.
Yeah, they put up pictures of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on their Facebook. And
the steam police, not the dream police.
Yeah.
Come on.
Dream police.
I don't remember the lyrics of that song either.
Yeah, that's about as far as I go with. Was it Cheap Trick?
Yeah, that's Cheap Trick. That was one of their later '80s albums.
Police.
So the was it the spacing are the inserts that you would put in the middle of records, or is that just part of the floor?
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the second picture from Friday, and part of the floor. Is it just how the floor is designed that has
the little spindle things?
Yeah, the little thing that you.
They put those down after the virus so that people would know the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the one that would fit inside of 45 in order to be able to play it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, those are relatively new.
Okay.
It's the virus. What's going on? I'm looking outside my window. No, I'm looking outside my window, and I'm
trick-or-treaters?
No, they're the house next door to ours is being flipped, and someone just pulled up on the front lawn out there. So I guess they're there for their day's work over there. Oh. There's people over. Someone bought it, now they're flipping it. So hopefully we wind up with nice neighbors over there.
Now, for you literalists out there, they're actually not physically picking the house up and turning it over on its side.
No.
They're fixing it up so that they can sell it immediately without having to rent it or live in it themselves.
Actually, can I tell you the story of that house? I don't know if you.
Sure.
What was it? God, maybe a year ago now. Maybe not quite a year, but it was a Sunday night, and all of a sudden, in the afternoon, there were cop cars lined up and down the street on our street, and the police taking things out of the house and going in and out. And so I didn't know what was going on. That night, someone knocked on our door, and it was an older gentleman asking if we had seen the guy that lives next door. It goes, it's my son, and we haven't seen him in days. We don't know where. And I felt terrible. No, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have known him if he was standing next to me. I'd never seen anyone coming in and out of that house, but this guy was looking for his son, hadn't seen him. So the next day when I was at work, I messaged Doug Embledge, no, Channel 13 news guy. Hey, do you know anything going on at, and gave the address. And I told him the story, and he got back to me later. The guy that lived over at that house had been in jail for a few days. That's why his father, but he didn't like let his family know. He'd been busted for child pornography.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't know what they found over there, but it was intense over there for a few days. So I don't know what happened to that guy, if he's still in jail or what. But
oh boy.
So a couple months ago, it looks like someone bought the house, and there's been a lot of work going on over there since then. So hopefully, even though the guy next door was quiet, like literally, if someone had knocked on my door, news camera, oh, he was a quiet guy. Never saw him. Never.
Yeah.
It would have been the absolute stereotype of
right.
of what you normally say when no, it's so I don't know what happened over there, but now we're gonna wind up with new neighbors. It looks like so.
Well, that's good. It's always nice to see houses restored, though. That's
as long as he's as quiet as the creep was, as long as the new owner's as good a neighbor as the bad guy.
Yeah. That's the thing. I have a house next to me that's a rental, and the first family that was there was just not the greatest family to have on next to me, because they were always just screaming and yelling at each other over something.
Yeah, so, that's always fun.
Interesting, to say the least. So I'm scrolling through Facebook myself, and there were people who got a chance to enjoy Halloween at least a little bit. There's folks out there who dress up, are cosplayers. It's like a high holy day for cosplayers, right? So I'm looking at the creativity, and the creativity is still there.
Yes.
It's great. I just wish it had a bigger stage. That's the thing. Tanya, what was your favorite Halloween costume? I think we talked about this once before.
My one from a couple of years ago was my steampunk one, but
you looked great in that one. I remember that one.
Thanks. I don't know. One of the ones that was a fun one is I made a costume of Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Okay.
So many years ago. Yeah. It was a big oversized like sweatshirt with like purple leggings or whatever, and like the hat, stuff like that. But it was not as good as like what Anne could do if she could sew. Because Anne can sew, I cannot. So.
Yes, she is very good.
But just what 2020 needed: Thor versus the Care Bears. What? There's a fantasy and sci-fi rock my world on that Facebook page. It's a picture of a rainbow and a lightning bolt hitting the rainbow. Like the Care Bears when they were going to fight whatever the Care Bears stare, and then like all the stuff came off of their bellies and it formed a rainbow. And never mind.
Actually, my favorite costume I saw online. There's a musician I like out of, he's from Philadelphia and now lives in Los Angeles, named Dave Hause, Hause, if you want to look it up. He and his family dressed up like the family from The Shining. Oh. He looks like Jack Nicholson with the hatchet. His wife was dressed up like Shelley Duvall with a baseball bat, and he's got twin girls that are like 2 or 3 years old, and had them dressed up like the creepy little girls from The Shining. And the picture is hilarious.
That is adorable. That's in a very twisted way, but it's adorable. I'm looking right now at a dad doing some Halloween when he's dressed in a lab coat, and right in front of him, he's got the 3 little girls dressed as the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. I just saw that one a couple minutes ago.
Yep, I'm scrolling through too, and I saw that one, so I'm like, yep, we got to talk about that one. So steampunk for Tanya. Billy, did you ever really get into? I mean, I think the most quote unquote creative Halloween costume I ever came up with is I went to one of Tanya's Halloween parties with a whole bunch of gear from my alma mater, and I went as a 17-year-old version of myself.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
I wore my old senior year shirt with all the names of my fellow graduates. I wore a hoodie from my school. I wore the hat. I even had a scarf that had that was supporting the soccer team, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I have enough gear from my high school. I'm going as the 17-year-old version of myself.
I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but my favorite costume as a grown up, where I went to a Halloween party, was a court jester, where my mom
Yep.
had like put together like one leg from a green pair of sweatpants and a yellow leg from a yellow pair of sweatpants, and sewed them together, and did the same with like a green and yellow shirt. Then I had the hat with the jingly bells, and so the court jester costume was one I remember well. When I was a little kid, my favorite was just the Ben Cooper Batman costume. The one with the plastic mask and the little Batman outfit. So, because I even liked him back then.
I'm sending you guys something that I just saw, and my eyes have teared up once you see this. There's a picture that's going to come across for Billy and Chris.
Oh wow, I see it. Yeah.
The picture, the sign says, "Sorry, no candy. Child with cancer. See you next year. Have fun. Good costume, whatever."
Yeah.
And the post says, "I can't stop crying. If anyone thought that there was no hope in our kids and teens, you're wrong. The sole purpose of us putting this sign in our yard today was so kids wouldn't run up to our door and be disappointed, because our neighborhood usually gets 300 to 400 kids. I looked on our doorbell camera tonight and saw that kids had been stopping at the sign, and her and her husband just went outside and found this. It's their sign, and that saying that there was no candy at that house because of the child with cancer. There's a whole bunch of candy on the ground underneath the sign.
They were sharing, the kids that were coming up to the sign were sharing their candy with the little one.
That is nice.
We have these moments, right? We have these moments that remind us that we're still human. And they are these little pinpricks of light through the fabric of what we've woven for ourselves this year, with the divisiveness and the rhetoric and the hate and all that's out there. But we have these little pinpricks of light that keep shining through to remind us of what we could be and what we can be. So there's always hope. There's always hope for the future, but it's just so hard to see it sometimes.
And the thing is sometimes I'm almost blinded with a false sense of security, because my Facebook page, my Facebook friends are mostly like nice people. So I'm sort of think, well, people are nice. And then I click on like a news story on Facebook from channel 10 or 8 or 13, not to pick on one or the other. And the comments underneath it are some of the angriest, dumbest, most, they really make me sad. More than angry, they make me sad that there's so many people with comments that wouldn't even occur to me.
No.
And wouldn't occur to, I don't think, most of the people I know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, seriously. I actively avoid the comments sections of news posts, but as I said in my Facebook post the other day, I implied that I spent the time to kind of skim through them, and I was just like so disappointed. Just so absolutely disappointed. It's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's, the internet is a double-edged sword. Here's all of human knowledge and human understanding and human experience wrapped up with all of human hate and human insecurity and human, just negativity. It's just, why? Come on. Why? What's going on here, people? Was that really important?
Yeah. Which I guess just makes me glad that there's still so many nice people, that I have a really full Facebook page basically devoted to them.
Wait.
And their thoughts.
Have we really been at this for 2 hours?
No, you forgot to turn whatever clock you're looking at back.
No. I'm not looking at the clock. I'm looking at the actual timer of Zencaster. It says 1 hour.
No,
57.
Mine says 57
mine
minutes.
says 57 minutes.
It's like, wait, I'm looking. I'm like, what time is it anyway? It is 10:42. My computer clock has not updated. That's weird.
Oh.
All right. I thought that was supposed to happen automatically. I will fix that later.
It usually does. No, we're at 57 minutes, and
I've been off my Zencaster window, just kind of surfing through Facebook and milling around on to look for things to talk about to support the actual Halloween discussion we were supposed to have. And And then I flip back to Zencaster and I see you 1 hour and 56 minutes. Like, what?
It's like, really? Doesn't feel like we've been talking that long.
I know we can ramble, but holy cow.
I'm not that good at it.
I know, seriously. Well, you know what? That's good enough. I think, well, you know what we'll do is we'll just take a quick break and then we'll, when we come back, we'll do a question of the week.
Okay.
I have a list. We don't have Dan's magical list of 480 million things, but I have my own list that I used to draw from back in the day.
Yay,
So,
lists.
We'll take a quick break. Apparently, we're not at the 1 hour and 58 minute mark, but we'll see what happens. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and all points in between. I hope you guys are having a great time listening to us because I know we're having fun talking to you. We mentioned Patreon, but if you come back to our Facebook Mondays, at 8 o'clock, you'll find us doing our Nerd World News, usually for about 20 minutes to a half an hour on a Monday night there. James Irish's blog is on Tuesdays, and every other Wednesday or so, you get Comic Chicks and this particular podcast. Are you doing Comic Chicks with Anne this week?
No, we are talking about, we're doing our book club.
Oh, you're doing book club with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, which
that's so cool.
I can't get past chapter 7.
The chapter's only like 2 pages long.
I know. I've gotten as far as chapter 7 from last week, and I haven't had a chance to pick it back up because just getting ready for Halloween and stuff. So I went to Chris's house Friday night to watch the actual movie, and he told me this is not necessarily whatever, but it kind of gave me the general gist of the sense of what's happening. And I do believe, Chris can tell you if I'm right or wrong, I want to say I took about a 20 to 25 minute nap during there because the one time I saw something and then the next thing I was in a different place and I have no idea how they got from point A to B.
I saw it at the theater and I borrowed it from the library on DVD and I napped both times.
Yeah, the movie was not that great.
You're better off. The TV show from the 80s, 70s. What was that TV show?
It was from the 80s. I don't think she was prepared to spend that much time dealing with this.
Yeah, but you know, it's. I'm gonna be able to talk about on Wednesday that it's okay to abandon something if it's not necessarily like drawing your interest in.
Right.
And we talk about it. I'm like, I've given it 7 chapters, and I think at least halfway through, she's going to try to push through to the end. But even she's just like, no.
So she doesn't like it either. That's interesting. No. I think there really are guy and girl senses of humor.
That's
and I think that's something that we're going to talk about in regards to that, and it's just. Or just the difference in the sense of humor and things like that. That I know we talked about that a couple of weeks ago on our podcast. And I'm like, I am going to try at least over the next couple of days to try to push through and read some more of the book. But I don't know.
I remember the very first time I read the book when I was in high school. I laughed so hard throughout all of it that as soon as I finished the last page, I took a break and I went right back to my chair in my little office at my mom's house, put my feet up and started reading the book again immediately. And that's the only book ever in my history of being an English major and lover of books and whatnot. That's the first and only time that I have ever loved a book so much that I started rereading it immediately upon finishing the book.
That's good. I also read it in high school. It must be a high school nerd boy thing.
Probably.
But
because Dan says he loved it. Randy loved it. I was talking to our friend Scott last Sunday. He says he's read it a couple times, and he's like, "Yeah, it's hysterical." I'm just like,
and that, by the way, that's the copy that I lent Anne was that very book.
Yeah,
that's suffered with time and age, unfortunately, and generously replaced for me, and I appreciate.
Yes, Anne said some of it because she lost it for a little bit last week. She
Uh-oh.
had misplaced it. She's like, "Did I bring the book down here?" I'm like, "I know Wade said he wanted to read it." And Wade's like, "When would I have time to read it during the day?" We're like, "Oh, yeah, good point, but whatever." So when I was over there for Comic Chicks last Wednesday, she could not find it.
Mhm.
So and when I talked to her the next day, she's like, "Yeah, I found it. Ravioli had it." So Ravioli must have been snuggled up with it on their bed type thing. She's like, "But when I picked it up off the bed, some of the back cover stayed on the bed." She's like, "I think Chris needs a new book." So we Amazoned him a new copy of the book because we're afraid that just because you know how books just get so dry and brittle with age because it is well loved and it's like, yeah, getting ready to like crumble apart like the Dead Sea Scrolls. So sorry.
That's funny. That's just funny, and I appreciate it.
So I gotta love Amazon. I was Amazoning all week. Randy goes, "Are you done?" I'm like, "Nope." My animatronic child is arriving in the next couple days. Dan got his yesterday. You know, the one that we had ordered one day when we were podcasting? Yes, Dan got his yesterday instead of in December. Nice. Mine's on its way. So he's gotten lots of child stuff today. A couple pairs of child socks, that type of stuff. So he's pretty happy.
That's good.
Actually, Chris, I have a book recommendation for you. Because as we were talking about the Hitchhiker's Guide, I was going, what was that? There was a book that I read, had sort of a similar sensibility, kind of silly, but a good story. It's called the Hollow Chocolate Bunnies of the Apocalypse.
Oh, jeez.
And it's a teddy bear detective and like in the nursery rhyme world.
Hollow Chocolate Bunnies of the Apocalypse
by Robert Rankin.
Isn't Rankin one of the ones that do the
Rankin Bass is the animation special, but no relation that I'm aware of. I think this is also a British author. So that it may also be a British thing. So I think it'd be a book you would
it's set in Toy City, formerly Toy Town, a place where toys are alive and characters from nursery rhymes are local celebrities. It's followed by a sequel, The Toyminator.
I haven't gotten around to that yet.
The novel's expanded from a throwaway line in Rankin's previous novel, The Fandom of the Operator, which refers to the recurring character Liza Woodbine investigating the murder of the nursery rhyme characters in Toy City.
Here's Toy Town, older, bigger, and certainly not wiser. The old rich who have made their millions from the royalties on their world-famous nursery rhymes are being murdered one by one. The psychopath is on the loose, and he must be stopped at any cost. It is a job for Toy Town's only detective, but he's missing, leaving only Eddie Bear and his bestest friend Jack to track down the mad killer.
Wow.
So I read it years ago and enjoyed it, and as we were talking about Hitchhiker's Guide, I bet Chris would like that book.
I will. What's the title of that one again?
The Hollow Chocolate Bunnies of the Apocalypse.
I'm writing that down. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Little Jack Horner is stuffed with jam, and Mother Goose is slit open.
Oh, boy.
Jack's spread is fried in his ex-wife's dinner. Yeah.
Hey, Tanya.
Hey, what?
Pick a number between 1 and 112.
My
list is not as cool as Dan's.
Between 1 and 112?
Yes.
Well, in lieu of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I am going to take 42.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
That's part I do remember seeing in regards to the supercomputer, which was Helen Mirren? No. Was Helen Mirren the supercomputer?
Yes, Helen Mirren voiced the Deep Thought, the supercomputer. Okay, what is your favorite fictional character origin story and why does it still resonate with you to this day?
That's a deep thinking question. Damn. Normally I'm not necessarily at a loss for words, except for when we get to these deep thinking questions where I'm like,
Well, the one night next to it is if you took the titles of two stories and mashed them together so that the last word of one became the first word of the other, what would the resulting plot and title become?
That's another one that I have to
That's
think.
hard. I'll
It's
start.
like those 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll start with favorite was it origin story. Is that how they
Yep.
worded it?
Yep. Origin story.
I'm gonna go Superman
Okay.
because it's a story of immigration.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story. It's almost a biblical story too, isn't it?
In a way, yeah. You have the savior who comes to Earth, kind of thing.
Yeah. And what was it? Shoot, I'm trying to think. There was another biblical reference to it, like the is it Moses who was put in a boat?
Yes.
Yeah. So Kal-El
Mhm.
was put on the rocket ship and sent to Earth, and I
Okay.
just and the way he became a good no the way it was a case of him being raised correctly and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to help society, help not just America but the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Superman's story as compared to Batman, whose parents were murdered, and even then it was like light versus dark.
Mm-hmm.
Although now that I think about it, Superman's whole planet exploded, so never mind that. But
Well, it's finding hope
yeah,
in the hardship, or rather than finding vengeance in the hardship.
and also
So
when you think about science,
yeah.
Jor-El the scientists or scientist knew something bad was happening, wanted to save his son, and
Mm-hmm.
tried to save society, but no one would listen to him.
You notice how that seems to be a theme
Mm-hmm.
where most apocalypses start with
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ignoring the science.
Right now, Dr. Fauci is building a rocket for his son.
Yeah, there you go. Jeez, I wouldn't doubt it, really. Anyway,
Yeah, I still don't have an answer.
you still don't have an answer?
I still don't have an answer.
Why not? You always have an answer for everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't
We
know.
stumped Tanya.
Yeah, well, that's not very difficult to do at times. So,
I mean, the big classic for me is Spider-Man. Obviously,
Mhm.
Peter Parker, being bitten by the radioactive spider, but how he, because Stan Lee from the beginning always said Peter Parker is my analog for the people who read my books the most. The teenager in high school, who feels like maybe he's a little bit of an outcast, maybe feels like he's a little bit of the outsider, the guy who's being bullied more often than not. So it gives that guy somebody to relate to, and I've always liked how Peter was always, I mean, not a hard luck case, right? But he was always in his private life, not as successful as he was in his public life as Spider-Man. Spider-Man was strong and hardworking and sometimes made mistakes, but always tried to do the right thing and, was helping people and being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And Peter Parker was struggling. He didn't come from rich. He didn't come from, this huge upbringing. His parents were gone. He was being raised by his aunt, and doing the best he could. So I thought that was always cool. It was relatable. It was
Plus,
more real.
with great power comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff. No,
The classic line.
he tragically learned a lesson and
Yep.
learned from it and became a better person because of it.
Which also kind of gives me the whole, on the DC side, their old Captain Marvel Shazam character, Billy Batson,
Yep.
especially in the recent movie that Zach Levy played, Shazam himself,
Mhm.
the superhero version, which I thought was a great movie. It was a lot of fun
I
to
really
watch.
enjoyed that movie. Yeah.
It was a really fun movie to watch, but you look at how how that particular character in that particular, you know, story
Iteration.
of it,
Yeah.
he was an orphan. He had a hard case, and then it was showing that he had that heart of the heart of gold to reach out
Mhm.
and help out with people. See, I made a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference there. Haha.
Mhm.
And what's some other good ones? Some other.
Let's see.
Another of our favorites. I mean, the Fantastic Four is kind of, the classic story where you're normal, but you were affected, and now you make the most of it. And the Fantastic Four always seems to me like the celebrity, like especially the two movies with Jessica Alba in them. They were very. They're the celebrities. They're the first family. They're the people that are out in the open all the time. The expected ones. But it's the little guy, I think, that always has appealed to me more, which is weird when you think of the fact that I'm a big fan of Iron Man as well.
If I was going to go origin stories, I would probably do Tony Stark as Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be one that would just be bopping around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to torture Tanya too much.
No, I need advance warning.
Although it's fun. It's fun to torture Tanya once in a while, but I will sometimes I'll let the slide go through.
And right now I'm looking at two orange cats stare at each other through the glass door.
Yeah, there's a little gray fuzzball I'm going to have a little conversation with about knocking stuff off of my desk.
Don't have stuff on your desk. That's what her conversation will be back having.
Hey, I was here first.
She's cuter.
Oh, hey, ow.
Go knock things off of Juliana's desk.
This must have been after she had her nose stuck in your water glass?
Oh my God, yeah. I had my cup of water sitting next to me last night, and she jumped up on the desk and just shoved her head right into the glass and started drinking. I'm like, okay, well, help yourself.
Yeah, one of mine did that to me the other day too, so they like our water better than their own.
Well, Chris was convenient.
Yes,
exactly. A whole convenient factor.
Exactly.
And then let Juno finish it off.
Well, it's funny because I see Chris sends me a picture of Molly sitting on his mouse pad, staring down at Juno, who's on his other side, looking up at her through the chair. So they must have been having a showdown.
Well. All right. Well, that's enough for me, and that's enough for this, and enough for that. And we'll see you guys again next week when we talk about more stuff at random. So for Billy, for Tanya, for Dan, who is not here, but happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan.
And I'm praying that today was not the first day of the apocalypse, but we'll see what happens. And so that is a wrap. And this is, hey, Dan, hit it. Has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you, hopefully, in April of 2021. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever you go. Lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week. Have a safe week. We will talk to you again next week.
Dum dum.
Every time.
Dum.